everybody for joining us here today. Appreciate the attention and interest in this issue. Just as a reminder, we have nearly 440,000 SNAP participants who receive nearly $73 million a month in federal benefits, or on average $6 a day in food support in our state. If you've been tracking a little bit, we have been sharing information ever since the shutdown began about on our website and with our partners and with many of you on the impacts that is having on Minnesotans who rely on this necessary program. Two issues that I want to bring forward to you today. One is that a vendor that Minnesota uses and nearly every other state uses to process benefits is rejecting our October submission, despite USDA indicating that these benefits would be paid. So per USDA guidance, we have continued to accept and process our SNAP applications for October. So this is guidance that USDA has shared with us and that we've shared with our county and tribal partners. Meaning that as folks are applying for benefits, they are going through the application process, they're conducting interviews, and they are processing benefits. Unfortunately, our EBT vendor has stopped issuing October benefits, and they are saying that for two reasons. One, they believe that the USDA guidance is unclear, and two, they are concerned that they will not be reimbursed by the federal government. So we have asked USDA to clarify, because our guidance has been very clear from USDA that October benefits should be issued, but we have yet to receive a response from USDA. And in the meantime, what that means is that our EBT vendor will not load October benefits on SNAP recipients' EBT cards. So the process as it stands currently is that we as a state provide oversight and policy direction to manage the relationship with our EBT vendor. We manage our IT system. Our county and tribal partners manage the eligibility process. They conduct the interviews. They determine the benefit amounts. We take the files for all those benefit amounts and we send them to our EBT vendor, who then directly issues payments to individuals to their cards based on the information that they receive from us. And so our vendor is FIS, and they manage about 40 other states. This is a nearly nationwide issue that is happening currently. So the second update I want to provide is, as Spencer mentioned, this morning we received guidance from USDA, and this is regarding an update to the several lawsuits that have been filed. And we received information that households will get at least a 50% reduction in benefits, with an additional 30% reduction if there is a working household member. The issue with this for us is that this guidance does not allow states to reduce benefits by a uniform percentage for all households, regarding of household size, income, or any other eligibility factor. And so that would be an efficient way to implement a reduction. And that's what we were hoping for, is just a nice, easy, clean, uniform percentage reduction. Unfortunately, the newly issued benefit table has a brand new reduction with a new code, which will require us to recode our eligibility system. It will require us to ensure that it does not impact other programs, other systems that are connected to our existing eligibility system. And it could, in fact, increase our state's error rates and will result in additional time for states to issue benefits out to SNAP recipients who are waiting for benefits to be loaded onto their cards for November. So we're incredibly disappointed about the information that we received from USDA, given the complexity that this requires. And we're working really closely with our county and tribal partners, working with a few national partners to ensure that USDA and others know about the complexity that this new coding, that these new benefit tables will result in for states. And want to reiterate that a resolution of the shutdown is the cleanest and easiest way for us to issue benefits as quickly as possible. And we'll be working really closely and hoping to hear back from USDA to have a reconsideration potentially to ensure that we can get benefits out as quickly as possible for people. So I will pause. That was a lot of information, and I'm sure you all may have questions. So I will pause to see what we can clarify or provide additional information on.
Yeah, so folks have questions. If you just want to use the raise hand function, we can get to those here. Hannah, looks like you're first up. Oh.
Hi. Thanks, Spencer. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can.
Yep.
Okay, great. I'm a reporter with The Imprint. We cover child welfare and foster care. I just had a quick question. How is your office supporting families who, food in the fridge is often the first factor for caseworkers who are trying to make a decision whether to sustain a child neglect investigation on a family? Have you issued any guidance to county staff about how to evaluate or reconsider this in the wake of SNAP's pause?
I think I lost a little bit of that question.
I can go again if that's helpful.
Yes, please. Thank you.
So I just asked, food in the fridge is often a key factor for caseworkers who are trying to make a decision about whether to sustain a child neglect investigation on a family. Have you issued any guidance to county staff about how to evaluate or reconsider this in the wake of the pause on SNAP?
Thank you for that question. So I think, we do recognize that in terms of child protection cases, oftentimes symptoms of poverty do play a factor in whether or not a case is reported, et cetera. That has been part of our training ongoing, and that certainly hasn't changed as a result of information that, as a result of the current shutdown. So I would say we haven't issued any new guidance as a result of the shutdown, as a result of changes, pauses to the current, SNAP guidance and availability. But we do recognize that poverty is a key factor in child protection cases.
Jessica, looks like you're up.
Hi, thank you. I have two questions. The first one's kind of a clarifier to make sure I wrote things down correctly. You said that households will get at least a 50% reduction in benefits and a 30% reduction if there's a working member in the household. That's not like 50% and 30% for a working member in the household. It's separate, right?
So the guidance is 50%. The allotment is 50% of the a reduction of 50%. Sorry, let me try that again. 50% of the household size, and then there's a deduction of 30% of the household's net income from the reduced maximum SNAP allotment amount. So that's a lot of words. So it's an additional 50%. It's the first time it's a 50%. And then if you are, a working member and have net income, there's an additional 30% reduction. I hope that clarifies. It's a little complicated.
Yes. Do you know what that net income is to qualify for the additional 30% on top of the 50?
Yeah.
We do have some files that that were released, and we're happy to share those charts with you all.
Yeah, no, that would be great. And then my second question is, I know a lot of people are wondering, when am I going to see money on my card in November? Do you guys have any sort of a time frame you guys are looking at or a timeline?
We don't, I think initially we were hoping for, again, the least burdensome, cleanest way for us to issue benefits. And unfortunately, the information that we received today is a really highly complex calculation that our teams are working on. They've been working since we received the guidance since 8 a.m. to run through a variety of solutions. It requires, a complete recalculation and a complete recoding of our system. So our teams are working on a number of scenarios, and we don't unfortunately yet have a time frame in which we'll be able to have an estimation as of today.
And Commissioner, to your point about the guidance from USDA and the updated tables, we did include links to both of those documents in the advisory for this briefing. So folks should be able to access that if they received the Gov delivery message. Elliot, looks like you're up.
Hi, kind of another clarifying question. So can you just clarify what the main reason is why people aren't receiving their benefits right now? Is it because of this new coding table, or is it also because of the issue with the vendor?
Sure. So there are two issues at play. I think one issue is the vendor is not issuing October benefits. So that should not be an issue, but it is an issue due to ongoing impacts of the shutdown. And then the new guidance that we received from USDA this morning was really for November benefits. And that has been, that is what we're working through right now, and do not yet have a timeline as to when we will be able to issue the new reduction of benefits per the USDA guidelines. Does that clarify?
Yes, thank you.
And there's also a question in the chat here from Dana Ferguson with NPR News. First one about the timeline of getting those benefits out. I think we've hit that one. And then has the USDA said anything about President Trump's comment today that he'll withhold benefits until the shutdown ends? And I think I saw that as well, but Commissioner, have we received anything from USDA regarding that?
We have not received anything from USDA. We did see, those messages as well. I believe we also saw that the White House released a statement rescinding or trying to clarify some of that information, but USDA has not commented on the president's tweets or messages. I will just add, I think you can, part of what we are managing too is, I think you can see we had, USDA information this morning released at 8 a.m., messages from the president coming out thereafter. We are managing to a wide variety of, and then messages from our EBT vendor, and all of them are different. And so we are doing the very best we can to ensure that recipients who are waiting for benefits, who desperately need food, have the best information we can provide to them, and really trying to ensure that we can keep ensuring that those folks' needs are at the top of the issue.
Jessica, it looks like you have another question.
Yeah, just another kind of clarifier. So I know you said that the vendor rejected all October submissions. So even if you submitted your SNAP application before the state stopped processing them, that means you're not enrolled in the SNAP benefit program because of that issue?
So the EBT vendor just yesterday began rejecting the October issuances. I'm going to clarify the date with my team here. I'm looking at the calendar here. It's the 4th today, so it might have been on the 3rd. Actually, I'm looking at my information. It's on the 1st. So USDA had provided information to us and nationwide to states saying all October benefits. Okay, no matter the time frame, October benefits would be paid for. And as we submit information to our vendor to be paid, that should happen. And the vendor is indicating that due to a lack of funding and due to a lack of, due to some confusion with information that they are having with USDA, because it's now November, they are saying that they cannot pay for October benefits that continue to roll out. I hope that clarified.
Yeah, it did. So I guess like larger picture, what does that mean then?
Yeah. So so part of our system is, you know, we're in early November, and depending on the time of month when someone comes in to receive benefits, a county or tribal worker has 30 days to determine if that person meets eligibility standards. And so they may be asking for information, conducting an interview, and determining you know, eligibility and the amount that that person would receive. And so it's very likely that throughout the month of November, people would be receiving October benefits, just simply due to the way that the system is designed and the way that it rolls out. And so what that means with the vendor not paying for October benefits starting now is that we have a series of, you know, some amount of in the thousands of individuals who will go to, will expect benefits on their card and will go to the grocery store and not have you know, have food benefits available for the grocery store purchases. And that's very concerning to us.
Commissioner, just if you want to contextualize for folks when we talk about that 50% reduction and possibly another 30% reduction, could you talk a little bit about, you know, the average amount of benefit a SNAP recipient usually receives?
Sure. So we like to just think about it in terms of, you know, per day benefit. So if you think about a $6 per day per person benefit, if you have a household of two, it's about, you know, $12. You can think about a single adult and a child, for instance, that's $12 a day. If we think about this reduction, we're looking at, you know, less than $6 a day to buy groceries. And obviously with grocery benefits increased, you know, over time, as we've seen since the pandemic, we already know that that this is an incredibly tight budget for folks already. And while we're grateful to have some partial benefits available, I think we're disappointed in the complexity that has been advised to USDA, from USDA to the states, knowing that it may, in fact, take weeks to implement when there are simpler solutions that could be applied.
I just got a question via chat, Commissioner. So for folks who are watching this news at home and kind of see, you know, the headline that these benefits are still up in the air for a lot of folks who count on them, what can they do if they're concerned about, you know, taking care of their neighbors who count on these benefits?
That's a great question. So we have had an incredible amount of Minnesotans step up and provide support for their neighbors. We have nearly 1 in 12 Minnesotans are impacted, you know, by not having SNAP or MFID food availability. So we have had a $4 million infusion into food shelves, and so if folks are able and willing to help support their food shelves and food banks, that is certainly of help. We also know that there are many seniors and disabled individuals who can't make it to a food shelf or who maybe can't prepare meals. And so we know that there is a lot of need to help support for meal kitchens and prepared meal sites, and then just bringing people for transportation purposes. And then we always would recommend folks check out our website where they can look for food resources across the state and also keep up to date on the latest information.
Commissioner question in the chat here. What percentage of October benefits have been released onto EBT cards?
So we have released at, it's probably 95%. The remaining amounts, and that's our best guesstimate. So the majority, the remaining amounts are folks that are smaller amounts. We estimate in the low thousands that will move through in the month of November.
Another question here from Jessica.
I know you said you're not happy, obviously, with the information you got from USDA. So I guess what's next for you guys? Do you issue the reduction notices? Can you appeal? Like, what happens next?
Yeah, great question. So we are working with we have a multi-state call this week to work with other states to gather more information and work with other states to problem solve and solution in this space. We'll be working with our county and tribal partners also to see what solutions we might have. We are working on a number of options to see how we might be able to get benefits out as quickly as possible, given the complexity that has been given to us. And then we also will be reaching out to our congressional delegation to also just let them know about the complexity that the guidance poses, especially for Minnesota.
And then I know the technology system to kind of apply for SNAP benefits is very old. Do you think because the system is so old, it's going to slow you guys down more?
I think we have pros and cons with our Maxis technology system. It is I think it's an older system for certain, and that does mean it cannot turn on a dime, and so it certainly does take more coding and more time. But when we're not in a shutdown status, it is a incredibly reliable system and one that works incredibly well. And so we have we're not the only state, I think, that will find themselves in this situation. There are multiple other states that also have a little bit older system that also have the complexity. I think in Minnesota we have tried to combine multiple benefits systems into one for ease for our workers, and that certainly does add complexity when there are significant changes to one particular program, such as SNAP versus cash assistance, et cetera. So yes and no.
Commissioner, you mentioned those conversations with other states. From what I've heard, you've been speaking with other states who have, more modern, quote unquote, state-of-the-art systems who are still facing an incredible amount of burden to comply with this new directive.
Yes, I think anytime there is a brand new, this is a brand new, allotment table. This is a brand new, adjustment that all states will have to make. So it requires new coding. It's not anything that any state has seen before. And so that unfortunately will take time.
And I just had another note of clarification here. Commissioner, when you were talking about the percentage of cases that have been processed from October, you talked, that's about 95%. That's based on the applications that we've currently sent to our vendor. And as those applications keep getting sent in the coming days here, especially in the first part of the month, that number could definitely change. And it sounds like, as more cases get added, I wouldn't be surprised to see that number decrease, it sounds like.
Correct. Thank you.
And just looking at the timing here, we have, I think, one final question here in the chat again from Hannah. Are you hearing from families with open child welfare cases who are now losing these food benefits due to the federal shutdown, and how is DCYF responding?
So we haven't, as a state, I don't think we've heard specifically from, individual families who are losing food benefits, in particular with with child welfare. I think certainly we are sharing information to all families who are impacted, as a result of losing food benefits. So we are sending text messages, email messages. We have information on our website specifically to let families and individuals know that their benefits are not available in November. And then as soon as we have information about the timing, as soon as we have information about the dollar amount available for folks, we will make sure to keep our website up to date and make sure that folks are well aware.
And with that, I just, again, wanted to say thank you all for joining us on short notice. Like the commissioner said, as we have updates to share, we will share them on that webpage that I dropped in the chat. You can always email or call me, and I can kind of put you on the list of folks to keep in the loop. We will also send out advisories like this of, high importance, high interest via our Gov Delivery news release list. So make sure you're signed up for that. And a link to that should be in the bottom of the advisory you receive if you want to just double check and confirm that you're subscribed. But thank you again. Thank you, Commissioner.